Alright, in this problem, they give you a list of numbers here. And if I think about what's happening from each number, class, what's happening? Yeah, someone said we're adding a -1. So if you think subtracting 1, just think our D value is a -1. And our first term is, you can just label those, A1, A2, A3, A4. So our A1 value is -2. Now if you look at our arithmetic explicit, you can write, you should have written down this formula. AN equals A1 plus D times N plus 1. Whoops. What's my mistake? Minus 1. Good job. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to solve the problem in terms of N. So our A1 value, which we got from right here, and our D value, so I get AN equals -2 plus a -1 times N minus 1. And so now that becomes -2. Let's go ahead and distribute that -1. Plus 1. And if we combine like terms, -2 plus 1 gives us what? You can write it either direction. And this is our answer. AN equals -1N minus 1. Now for the second part, you need to have written down the finite arithmetic series formula. Sn equals N times A1 plus AN over 2. Now someone asked, which formula should you use? I would recommend using this formula. And the only time they ask you for the summation one is if they tell you use sigma notation. Now we're just going to substitute in our values of what we have. Our A1 value is how much? And our AN value, okay, let me use a different color. We just solved for AN, right? So all of that's going to go there. I'm going to put in parentheses -1, -1N minus 1. So Sn equals N -2 plus this divided by 2. Let's go ahead and simplify that. So in the parentheses, because it's a plus sign, I don't really need this for the first set of parentheses. I have -2 and a -1, which gives us what? Yeah, what is -2 and a -1? -2 minus 1 is -3. And this one right here has a lot of math symbols. I'm just going to write minus. Oh, that's wrong. I was like, huh? -2 minus 1 is -3, and this one is just minus N all over 2. And now what do we need to do? We're going to distribute, because I see multiplication here. There's no addition or subtraction, so it's going to be multiplication. So this is going to equal Sn N times -3? N times -N?
Or negative.
Negative N squared divided by 2. and this is our answer. Okay, I drew a column on the right side now for us to calculate. It tells us to calculate the first three terms. So it's saying S3. Well, if you think about it, it's just adding up the very first three terms. That's what a series means. World Series, right? First couple of games. I think we're going to play not just one game, but many games. So there I can just substitute in -2 plus a -3 plus a -4. And if you add those all up, you get -9. Now you might be asking, what was the point of this formula? This formula, now that we know that, remember if you put Sn here, your n value is 3. You see that? So to calculate the sum of arithmetic, we can just substitute in now 3 for every n value. Let's do that. S3 equals -3 times times 3 minus 3 squared all over 2. So it told us to calculate, I'm just using a different formula to get the same answer. Class, -3 times 3? Positive or negative?
Negative.
Okay, pay attention here. Is this -3 squared or positive 3 squared? Raise your hand if you think it's a positive 3. Raise your hand if you think it's a negative. Remember, we have PEMDAS, and PEMDAS tells you exponents first. This is really multiplying by -1, or the inverse. So this is 9, so -9 over 2. And that gives you a -18 divided by 2. And -18 divided by 2 is? -9. So there are two ways for us to calculate the sum of the first three numbers in a series, and we did that in this problem.